Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Ango Show. We are live following NXT. Very, very interesting episode. Honestly, I actually really enjoyed this episode. Hopefully, everybody is having a good night, and we will definitely talk about it. Let's take a look at the chat. Real Take Sports, Denisha, Myra. Let's see, Austin. What up, everybody? Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Yeah, we're definitely talking about NXT tonight. Some good, some bad. I got the notes written down. We'll discuss the show at length. What's up, Nate TV? Welcome, welcome. Hopefully everybody is having a good night. Hopefully everybody enjoyed NXT Tuesday night, wrestling. And then, of course, tomorrow we got Dynamite from AEW, so that should be interesting. MGT Gaming, welcome. Yeah, I came before Veer. That is for sure. I did come before Veer. That's funny. Definitely some interesting stuff happened on the show today, and then there was definitely some stuff that I didn't care about, but overall it was a good show. It was definitely a good show. My thoughts with NXT are definitely interesting too, considering like when you look at NXT as a show compared to like AEW or WWE Raw or SmackDown, I just feel like it's such a different show. So it's always interesting to me when I watch it. But for some reason, I do absolutely, I do enjoy it. So it's very cool. And then let's see what's happening. Yeah. Yep. Denisha, let's see. I just seen some people in the chat. Denisha says, let's expose the chat a little bit. Oh, what's up, Larry? Denisha says, first time live stream. I just subscribed to the channel. Thank you. I appreciate that. James Mead says, how are you doing, Ango? Ango is doing good. Ango's a little bit tired. Very interesting day. Went for a run. Got out, videos. And of course, just enjoyed a little bit of NXT. So all in all, it's been a pretty good show. We're going to talk about it in just a second. A lot to get through. Got a lot of notes. Hopefully you guys are all doing well. If you guys haven't clicked that thumbs up button, definitely do so. That would be appreciated. Out of 5, how would I rank NXT tonight? I would say out of 5, I would give it a 4 out of 5. I feel like it accomplished what it needed to accomplish. I feel like, it's not the most important episode, but it was a good episode nonetheless. It definitely wasn't a bad episode of NXT. It just wasn't the most important episode of NXT. Like, I wouldn't feel like this is one of those episodes, the best way to describe it's like, okay, if I missed it and I watched it on DVR, that wouldn't be a bad idea, And unfortunately, that's just kind of how I feel about a lot of wrestling these days, even though everything's been pretty good. Zachary says, Ango sleeps at 4 a.m. every day. Yeah, no, it's like legit. I literally go to bed at 4 in the morning. It is not good. It just kind of is the way it is, unfortunately. Hopefully I can get better with that. I don't know why I've been falling asleep like super late, but unfortunately I have been. Nonetheless, welcome everybody. Zachary, MGT, James, Denisha, Myra, Nate, everybody that's in the chat. I appreciate you guys. I'll be going back and forth between my notes and then, of course, some of your guys' questions. So if you guys got questions, you know what to do. You can always submit a super chat today. Feel free to do that. If you submit a super chat, that's going to get your question read, guaranteed. Also, you can become a member for $4.99 a month if you guys want to receive some cool perks and become a member and support the channel and everything like that. Are you going to watch Stand and Deliver? Yes, absolutely. I absolutely will. By the way, guys, for those who don't know, we do have a sponsor, streammusic.gg. All of my streams are, they remain copyright free thanks to streammusic.gg. So if you ever listen to the intros and the outros, the theme music that I have played is provided by my music service called streammusic.gg. It's completely free. You can stream music, and what's really cool about it is if you're a content creator, a YouTuber, Twitch streamer, whatever it may be, you can actually use it without getting copyright striked, and you don't have to pay money for it. So it's really cool. With that being said, I do want to jump into the NXT review. I'll try to get to everybody's super chats and questions and everything today. A very eventful episode of NXT. So let me preface everything I say. It's an eventful episode, but I do feel like it is lacking a little bit of importance. And I'll kind of get to that a little bit more in depth. Now, with that being said, let's jump into it. My name is Ango. This is the Ango Show. NXT 2.0. We have gotten to the point with NXT 2.0 that, it's the new way of life, right? It's the new way of the NXT brand, and there's nothing we can literally do to change it. And I like the direction of this show. Now, specifically, I want to mention how the show opened up. We had Solo Sikoa beat Roderick Strong, and Solo Sikoa is going to go to the ladder match for the North American Championship. Now, as much as I enjoy the work of Dolph Ziggler and Braun Breaker and Bobby Roode, I feel like lately NXT has done a phenomenal job of getting me invested in the North American Championship belt. This belt is clearly a highly regarded belt on the NXT brand, and I think it might even be the most successful mid-card belt on WWE television, and a lot of that credit goes to, of course, the A-Champ. Now, with that being said, when you look at Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams, they have been doing a phenomenal job, and we'll talk a little bit more about them later on in the show. But Solo Sikoa beating Roderick Strong is a really good way for me to get excited about this ladder match. I think Stand and Deliver is going to be a great show, and I do anticipate that Stand and Deliver will be an awesome show, not only in terms of the entertainment value, but I also think just the way that they've been building up storylines and they're putting good matches together filled with good wrestlers and good characters. There's a lot to look forward to. With that being said, that ladder match is the match that I'm actually most excited about. I think it's the utmost important match, and Solo Sikoa being, this rookie in WWE, coming in immediately looking like a powerhouse, but also still taking a little bit of punishment from other wrestlers. It's been a really cool thing to see, and it's a gradual rise to the occasion. I don't know if WWE has plans to move him to the main roster at any point. I do think he could literally move to the main roster and be successful on the main roster, but I think at this stage of the game, when I see Solo Sikoa, I would actually like for him to not win the North American Championship. And the reason why is because I would really prefer to see him have an opportunity to become a world champion in NXT. You look at Braun Breaker and Dolph Ziggler, that's a really hard match to predict, honestly, because maybe they make Braun Breaker a two-time champion, but then, of course, there was rumors that Braun Breaker could actually go and become, a part of the main roster soon. The way I look at this is Solo Sikoa is definitely getting a push, and it's definitely a gradual rise on a weekly basis. Him beating Roderick Strong pretty much cemented to me that Solo Sikoa should probably be the next person to hold that NXT World Championship belt. If it's not Solo Sikoa, I think Carmelo Hayes going for that belt would make the most sense. I think this guy is incredible, and I give WWE just a lot of props and everybody who's working on NXT. Again, this North American Championship belt, it just has such a great value to it. And I see questions. MGT Gaming says, hey, Ango, do you think this version of NXT is underrated? Truth be told, I do. I think a lot of people underestimate how good this NXT is. It's going to have its flaws. Of course, we mention that pretty often. Every show has its flaws. But if you're looking at a 2-hour show and you see one or two flaws and that outweighs all of the good that the show brings you, I just think you are addicted to literally negativity. Literally, I think you're addicted to being negative. Like some people, there's just people in this world that exist to live negatively, to be negative this entire time about a product that they're watching. Like they have like this hatred in their heart, whether it's AEW or WWE or whatever the hell it is, I don't know. But they're like, I look at the Twitter timeline and it's just like, oh, well, WWE did this, and it's like, yeah, but like, you're talking about one bad thing compared to like 10 different good things. Like, is it really that big of a deal? And I know a lot of people personally who I think they look at NXT based on the perception of NXT and not based on the product. And it's kind of like what I've mentioned with Impact as well. And I think that's a problem in wrestling. And truth be told, I think that's why Vince McMahon really doesn't give a rat's ass about what these people on Twitter say. I think that's the same reason why, like, if you showed my channel to Vince McMahon, you think Vince McMahon cares about my opinion? Even though I have been known to be a fan of WWE and NXT, I criticize it and praise it just as I do any other company. But at the end of the day, if you're WWE, man, you gotta like, if you're WWE, you don't have to listen to the fans, because the fans really don't, it's crazy when I say this, but just think about it. If you're WWE and you see a whole bunch of people on Twitter complaining about these small little things, you're just being negative. You're just being negative. Negative, negative, negative. And if you're addicted to being negative and you have nothing positive to say, it doesn't actually come off in a way where you want to better the product. It just comes off in a way where maybe you're not interested at all whatsoever and seeing the product progress. I don't get it. You have to block out the noise. WWE has done a phenomenal job with NXT. So to answer your question, MGT, yeah, I think it is definitely underrated. It is definitely a good show. Now, with that being said, I want to jump into Dexter Lumis versus Tony D'Angelo. Something when I looked at this on paper and I looked at this, honestly, I was just like, what the hell? Like, this was one of those decisions where I was like, this doesn't make sense. WWE literally nailed that perfectly. Persia and Duke, Indy, and Dexter Lumis. This whole dynamic that they have has been fantastic. It's storytelling, it's basic stuff. It's not going to impress you. It's not, again, it's kind of what I said about Raw yesterday. It's not going to be the most intuitive, insane experience ever. It's literally simple booking, simple logic. They're not insulting your intelligence. And Dexter Lumis loses because Persia was trying to give him the crowbar, not give him the crowbar. I don't know. Dexter Lumis gets hit with the crowbar. The ref didn't see it. Tony D'Angelo wins. Tony D'Angelo is the shit. Very, very good idea here. I actually am intrigued with what they do here. We did get a super chat. I want to give a shout out to Myra. We got a $5 super chat. Yes, call out the naysayers. Some people literally just want to complain to complain. Yeah, I mean, this is literally the truth. Thank you for your super chat, and I do agree. I think if you're just complaining to complain, maybe you like hearing yourself complain. I don't know. And apply this to anything outside of wrestling, too. It's not just wrestling. It's not just WWE. It's not just AEW. It's literally a thing that I have noticed, and I do find that to be incredibly strange. I don't know. Social media has made it very hard to enjoy things. And I don't know how the quote goes or whatever it is, but I think it's like what? Misery enjoys company or something like that. Think about it. If I'm a miserable person and you're not miserable, I just find that to be like, I don't know. You guys kind of get what I'm going at with this. Like, if I'm miserable and you're not miserable, it makes me even more miserable to see that you're not miserable. And that's how it is with wrestling, I guess. I don't know. It's a very, very strange experience. I'm noticing this a lot. I'm not going to sit here and say NXT tonight was perfect, but holy shit, for the most part, like, wrestling fans, I look at Twitter and it's like, oh, well, NXT is this. And it's like, but you said you like good wrestling matches. I mean, shit, I know they changed the colors of the logo and they changed the set and everything like that. But at this point, when I look at WWE, and I'm just being completely honest here, when I look at WWE NXT, I don't really see any bad matches on TV. I really don't. I mean, I'm waiting for somebody to tell me, like when did it really happen? I don't know. I find that to be incredibly odd. This idea that, like, people are just hating on something without even watching it. Like, how do you come up with an opinion on something you don't watch? And look, I'm not telling you. Listen, I'm not telling you guys. You guys know I've been doing this. Yesterday we had over 225 plus viewers. On AEW show we had over 200 viewers. You guys know when I talk about wrestling, I try to be fair, but I try to bring analysis to good and bad. And I just think at this point it's like, okay, like I don't know. Why are we being negative about something? It's not that deep, you know. It's not that serious. We did get another super chat, Myra, again, this time with a $2 super chat. Misery loves company. Yeah, and that's what it is in wrestling. It's literally the whole Cody Rhodes debacle. Like, people are just like miserable because Cody Rhodes disrespected them apparently, and like he's going to WWE, and it's like this bad thing. I don't know. I don't even want to talk about it anymore because I just find it to be so odd. Again, the whole Dexter Lumis thing, Tony D'Angelo, Persia, Duke, like Indy Hartwell, like all of that right there was something I was just like kind of scratching my head. And then when it transpired, it came off really good. Honestly, it's like a really funny storyline. It's really stupid. Best friends, romance, like they're trying to one up each other. Persia and Duke, Hudson obviously being the heels. Indy and Dexter, I don't know what the hell's gonna happen. But, when I look at Dexter Lumis, and it really goes back to when he was Samuel Shaw on Impact, I noticed that this guy was incredible, honestly. And I think he's really incredible. And what WWE has done with him is actually really good. I don't like the idea of him being in this, like, I don't like this idea of him being in a romance angle, but right now it works, if that makes sense. And because it works, I think after this is done, hopefully at Stand and Deliver, that's the end of it. I would really, really like to see Dexter Lumis move up to Raw without Indy Hartwell. And I would just love to see WWE leave that behind. If they leave that behind, then I think they pretty much knocked it out of the park with Dexter Lumis, because I feel like that could very well hold him back on the main roster. But if you are Dexter Lumis, I think Dexter Lumis going to the main roster on Raw, being able to be quiet, not necessarily have to cut promos, just do your thing and beat people up, be mysterious. I think people will be interested in that. I really do. I don't know. I really do think that would be the case here. So I am excited about Dexter Lumis and what he has the potential to do. I do want to see him get out of this romance angle. I don't know how the hell WWE is going to pull that off. It should be very interesting. But yeah, it was good. It actually worked out a lot better than I anticipated. Strangely enough, we actually get to a point too where we have Bobby Roode versus Braun Breaker, which, by the way, I just want to make this very clear. I miss the Glorious theme song. Bobby Roode having Glorious back in NXT. He came out with the robe. He pretty much, he pretty much came out just like the original version of NXT. When he was originally in NXT. This is a good thing. I really did enjoy it. I really, really did enjoy it. And it looks like, before I can give you guys my opinion on that, it looks like we got another super chat. Myra just left another super chat. Keep up the great work, Ango. I gotta go. I'll catch the next one. $5 super chat. You're so nice, Myra. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'll see you next time. And thank you again for your super chat and your support. If you guys have any questions that you guys want me to answer while I'm on the stream, go ahead and drop a super chat and I'll read it off. Thank you again, Myra, for your contributions. Francisco says, I miss beer money. Now let me get to that, right? So I look at what they did with Braun Breaker and Bobby Roode. Bobby Roode being in NXT, it just felt like the old days of Bobby Roode in NXT. I liked it. Everything here was logical. Dolph Ziggler comes out ringside. He tries to get involved. He gets thrown away from the match. This obviously makes it a situation where Braun Breaker can now beat Bobby Roode. They've done a great job. Honestly, they've done a great job with this story, and they've done a really good job with Braun Breaker. At some point, it looked like he actually got injured. I couldn't tell if he hurt his collarbone or something. Him and Bobby Roode just had really good chemistry. They were going back and forth. There was a couple moments where it kind of looked like Bobby Roode was going to win this match. So that was really cool. But it kind of goes back to what Francisco said in the chat. He says, I miss beer money. And I do too. I really do miss it, but it's just not going to happen. I would be very shocked to see WWE have that happen in 2022 or 2023. I am not sure, but I really do want to make that a point that what they're doing with Braun Breaker, Dolph Ziggler, and Bobby Roode, it works. It really works. I can honestly say, if you would have asked me before who was going to walk out of Stand and Deliver with the championship belt, I would probably tell you that Braun Breaker would have won. But now, all of a sudden, I really don't know. There's a chance that Dolph Ziggler can retain. I don't know what the hell they plan on doing. It's going to be a very interesting situation. Shrew, what's up, buddy? Do I cover MMA? I know nothing of wrestling. Yeah, so I do cover a little bit of MMA from time to time. And I just don't do it on this channel. So I'm working on something like that, but it takes a little bit of time. So right now I'm pretty much just covering all wrestling at this point. But yeah, there are plans to do some more MMA stuff for sure. Zachary says, when is the last time Bobby Roode won a match? That's a good question. I don't feel like it's been that long. But you guys got to understand too, this is another thing, right? It's not like Bobby Roode, yes, he lost this match. When you look at the records, win-loss, right? He technically lost. But there is logic here that, as a bad guy, right? This guy is a bad guy. Him and Dolph Ziggler cheat to win. He didn't have the ability to cheat, therefore he didn't win. it technically makes sense as to him losing to Braun Breaker. And by the way, it's not like he's losing to a mid-card guy. He is literally losing to the top guy, the guy in NXT. So I'm not happy, but I'm definitely not angry about it. I'm definitely not in a situation where I'm going to be negative about it, because I just don't think there's a reason to be negative about it. So Zachary, if I'm being completely honest, they did this the logical way. My biggest gripe about WWE and just wrestling in general is, can you do things logically? WWE's not out here telling you that wins and losses matter. They're not throwing some bogus ranking system or anything like that. And so because of that reason, I think they've kind of gotten to a point where Bobby Roode, it's character. It's all about character, right? And his character at this moment in time, his role is to make Braun Breaker look good. And it gives Braun Breaker a little bit more credibility too, because he beat a former NXT champion. And it's just really cool too that WWE allowed him to come out glorious, the robe and everything. I just really enjoyed that. MGT says, has Dexter ever won a championship in NXT? No, he has not yet. I wouldn't even waste my time putting a mid-card belt on him. Honestly, Dexter Lumis is perfect for the main roster. If I am WWE, I do start looking at that option relatively quickly. We got the Raw and SmackDown after Mania. It would not be a bad idea to have Dexter go up. I would say Monday Night Raw. But you never know. Even SmackDown too. I mean, we got Gable Steveson, Cody Rhodes. I mean, they're going to be on Raw. You never know what they do. Obviously, LA Knight's in the equation at some point, but I think he's going to go to SmackDown. Dexter Lumis getting moved up makes the most sense very soon. But yeah, great back and forth. Pretty logical. When Braun Breaker is running to the back of he's going up the ramp to leave. Braun Breaker actually, he gets super kicked by Dolph Ziggler. So that was cool. They did a great job with this. Honestly, I think I've noticed a lot of people on social media have talked pretty negatively about WWE using Raw superstars on NXT. It's almost like they forgot that back in like 2013, WWE actually used to do that. Because people forget that, it's kind of tough to explain to people, but it makes sense to have that cross promotion. And I think it actually does better for Braun Breaker having this feud, win or lose. And I think it's also, it's not about, to me, it's not a ratings thing. It's just like when I watch NXT and I see Braun Breaker mixing up with Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler is the world champion. Would I rather have Braun Breaker versus Dolph Ziggler on NXT, or would I rather watch Dolph Ziggler on WWE Raw losing to Dominic Mysterio? You know what I mean? So I feel like I'm pretty happy with what they've done with Dolph Ziggler, and then at some point he's probably going to go back to doing nothing on the main roster. They're veterans too. You got to keep that in mind. Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode are there to make other people look good. They're dirty dogs. It works. It works logically. Obviously, I would like to see them do different stuff, but WWE has their roles, and that's the roles that they kind of work with. Hunter says, who would you like to see Braun beef with on the main roster? I mean, that's a wonderful question. Man, it's so tough with Braun Breaker. And I think right now, because Cody's going to Raw, I just think it's the wrong time. I really do. I mean, there's never really a wrong time. Technically, they could bring him up at any time. But if I had it my way, I would bring Braun Breaker up for an opportunity immediately at the world title. Like, I would literally put him in an opportunity right off the rip to become a world champion. Just to show people that this guy really is going to be a big deal. I don't know what they're going to do. I really don't know. Who would I like to see him beef with? Hunter, that is such a good question. I think if I'm WWE, I would rather see Braun Breaker on Raw. But let's just say, for an example, that he doesn't go to Raw. I think it would probably make a little bit more sense for Braun Breaker to feud with like Ricochet for the Intercontinental Championship belt or something on SmackDown. Or maybe Sami Zayn. I feel like that would be a pretty cool thing. They got to do something at some point, though, with Braun Breaker. It's clear like this guy is the future of this company. So, yeah, great back and forth. Then we have we had a backstage segment, and I don't really like talking about backstage segments on the live shows, but we did have a backstage segment with not Andre Chase. We'll get to that one later. Anthony Draco and Zion Quinn. Dude, Draco Anthony. I think, is it Draco Anthony or Anthony Draco? I got to get used to some of the names because there are a lot of new faces. I'm pretty sure it's Draco Anthony. He gets a message from Joe Gacy backstage. And yeah, you know, when he gets this message from Joe Gacy, it's on a video. Joe Gacy just doing his typical thing. I love what they've done with this, but you know, being next to a locker with Zion Quinn, I don't know. Like, I really don't want to see them turn them into a tag team. That's kind of like my concern here. Zion Quinn basically says, hey man, if you need anything, just let me know. And like, you know, I got your back. I really, really, really think that this is an opportunity for them to turn him heel. So Zion Quinn gets turned on, right? If you have Draco Anthony turn on Zion Quinn and actually join Joe Gacy and Harland, there might be an opportunity there. I don't know. Draco Anthony to me is still a little bit green, but I do think there's an opportunity from this character aspect to turn into a bad guy and then beat up Zion Quinn. Then I think you have an opportunity for Zion Quinn and Harland to have a feud, bring two big guys together, good versus evil. Pretty simple storytelling, but that would be the direction I go. We do get Akid versus Grayson Waller. This is phenomenal. Not a long match whatsoever, but Grayson Waller versus Akid was freaking awesome, dude. And, you know, I am somebody who watches NXT, and I really, really want to have this conversation with you guys. Seriously. NXT UK has the best championship belts in WWE. He really does have the best championship belts in WWE. They do. The NXT UK brand has the best championship belts in WWE. And I look at somebody like Akid because I've watched his work in NXT UK, and I love NXT UK. Akid needs to stay permanently in the US. They need to keep this guy in the US immediately. And put him in a meaningful feud. And we'll talk a little bit about that in depth because we did get a super chat. Zachary left a super chat for $1.99. Where is Harland? Well, right now, I don't know. That's a good question. Zachary, thank you for your super chat. What I would say is this. I would say Harland and Joe Gacy, they're definitely more character-centric. So popping up on the phone or a vignette or backstage promo or something like that, it definitely makes a lot of sense. Now, tonight's episode of NXT was very centric wrestling. Like it was very like there was a lot of focus on the wrestling tonight, and I like that. There was quite a few matches. I think Harland versus Zion Quinn is the move to make. I really do think that's the move to make, and maybe that can be how you introduce Draco Anthony as a heel. I don't know, but never forget that Harland is completely tapped in. A lot of people do forget Harland is tapped in. He's hanging out with all these freaking famous ass rappers and stuff in Florida. This dude is like super popular. I don't know how WWE managed to get this guy who's like a hype beast into like this dark character, but somehow they've been able to do it. Very interesting. But yeah, I genuinely believe NXT UK has the best looking championship belt in WWE. And, you know, when I look at the NXT UK brand, there's a lot of similarities to that and what NXT Black and Gold was. So we look at NXT UK and it's like, I want to see some of that influence rub off on NXT 2.0. And I feel like in certain ways we are already seeing that happen. But if you look at it from a perspective of like the roster, right? We saw Kaylee Ray, we saw Imperium. They moved down to NXT in America. Akid and Grayson Waller have an incredible match. It's pretty short. It's not very long. Basically, this is a ladder match qualifier for Stand and Deliver. I mean, literally, I posted the GIF on my Twitter. I could not believe. I don't know the name of Grayson Waller's finisher, but he dives through the rope from the outside into a stunner. Akid reverses it into a sleeper hold. It was absolutely sick. To be honest with you, I was just blown away by that. It was just a really cool match. It felt good. I really, really enjoyed this match. And the cool thing is, after this match, Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes come out and basically say on the mic, they say, hey, what we're going to do is we still need one more person in this ladder match. So between Cameron Grimes and everybody that lost, they're all going to have an opportunity to compete again for a spot in the ladder match. And Akid is happy about this. Trick Williams drops a promo he drops some lines on the mic, and then what ends up happening is Akid goes for like an enziguri, and then he just immediately dives out of the ring. The crowd absolutely popped for Akid. This is going to be good. This is going to be really, really good. This ladder match is going to be the match of the night. And I don't care if you watch AEW or Impact or WWE, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, NXT UK, NJPW, GCW, this show or that show. This is 6 or 7 individuals with they got a lot of hunger, and they got a lot of stuff to prove. Trust me, these people read the stuff on the internet about the criticisms of NXT and all this stuff, and it's not their fault that NXT changed. But this ladder match is going to be fucking crazy. It is going to be really, really good. We did get another super chat from Hunter. Hunter left a super chat for $1.99. Just a small donation. Hunter, thank you. Big or small, it doesn't matter. They're all appreciated. They honestly are. They go back into the investment of the channel, by the way. For those who are wondering, right now we're doing the Ango show with a green screen and a camera. Eventually, I want to do the Ango show like an eventual TV style event. That's going to cost money. So all super chats really just go towards this fund of growing the channel and growing this out. So again, thank you, Hunter, for your super chat. I genuinely do appreciate it. Thank you. So yeah, overall, like they did a really good job. It's funny too, because Grayson Waller is this character, and I see the way he goes back and forth with Akid, and it actually was just like, I don't know. It was just not something I really expected to be that good. And like tonight pretty much sold me on Akid. It would be a good idea for Akid to win the North American Championship. I don't know what their plans are for him long term, but Carmelo Hayes, I feel like, should drop the belt at Stand and Deliver. Akid winning could be massive. There is a lot of potential there. I really do believe there's a lot of potential there. It's just really up to them as to whether or not they want to push him and whether or not he's going to stay in the States. But this was definitely one of the key moments I enjoyed of the night. After that, too, we get the Creed brothers versus the Grizzled Young Vets. Man, talk about UK talent. The Grizzled Young Vets, dude, these guys, let me just say something really quick. You look at WWE's tag team division and you look at the main roster tag team division. So you look between NXT and the main roster. NXT's tag team division is so stacked. They are so stacked. The NXT tag team division is absolutely awesome. And I wish the main roster could kind of take notes, right? We're seeing an improvement on Raw, but SmackDown I feel like is still very lackluster with tag teams. Obviously AEW continues to do it really well. They continue to do it really well. NXT's tag team division is sick. And it's funny because we were talking, we were talking a little bit about championship belts, and one of the conversations I'm having with people is like NXT 2.0, it's really a good brand, right? Like when you think about like characters, the internet wrestling community will tell you otherwise, but when you look at the company and you look at what WWE is doing, NXT didn't really change that much. You still get good wrestling, but you see a little bit more focus on storylines and stuff. Now, if you look at the WWE formula, this clearly works for WWE. Like it's statistically proven that WWE's formula right now works for them. Why? Because they make $1 billion. And NXT is more in line with the main roster. I would say it's a possibility that NXT is actually more entertaining than the main roster. Why? Because there's a little bit more logic that's applied to the stories. There's a little bit more logic applied to the decisions, less DQs, less 50-50 booking. Now, with all of that being said, yes, there is more focus on the characters. When I look at the NXT brand and I look at, for example, Grizzled Young Vets versus Creed Brothers, and I look at the stacked tag team division, I can't help but notice how these tag team championship belts look. And I look at NXT UK's tag team championship belts and I think, wow, the NXT UK tag team championship belts may very well be the best looking titles in all of professional wrestling. And that's not a dig at AEW. That's not a dig at New Japan. That's not a dig at Impact or GCW or ROH. I just think the NXT UK overall, their championship belts are so underrated. And I think a lot of people don't actually talk about them as much as they should. If I am WWE, I think one of the biggest things that they may have made a mistake with is that NXT 2.0, when you look at the presentation of it, it just completely changed. And because they completely changed it, and it was such a huge aggressive change. The colors, it was overwhelming. But you look at the product and you start to realize, damn, their tag team division is fire. The women's division is really good. The world championship picture is amazing. And by the way, you have this upper mid card of guys who are just extremely talented and charismatic. And you look at all of these different things and it's like, okay, now what are they working towards? And if there's one thing I think NXT could have done better, it was just the overall presentation. NXT 2.0, just imagine NXT 2.0, drop the moniker. At this point, at any point, maybe after WrestleMania, we see them drop NXT 2.0 from the moniker. Maybe it goes back to just being NXT. But you don't need the splashing colors. You don't need the dripping colors. You don't need 100 different colors. You could just stay with a normal color set. And, I would maybe just give a makeover to those championship belts. Just go for something a little bit more classy. Something that looks like a little bit more of a prized possession. Because when you look at NXT, I think that's the big miss. And I think if they improve the overall vibe of the product, I actually believe people would probably enjoy NXT 2.0. I promise you. I've read my comments. I've read from these live streams. I see what people say about NXT. It's strange. My live streams on YouTube will actually end up getting more viewers for Raw and Dynamite than NXT. But I see more people showing love to NXT when they're actually talking about NXT. I just think it's the cool thing to look at NXT and be like, okay, well, this sucks. But they're not actually watching it. They're just looking at the colors and these massive changes that were a little aggressive. If I'm WWE, I would change starting after Stand and Deliver. I would use that as an opportunity. Drop 2.0 from the name. Immediately drop 2.0 from the name. Reveal new championship belts. Maybe take some inspiration from NXT UK because those belts are absolutely classy. Probably the best looking in wrestling right now. Take a little bit of inspiration from that. Drop the colors and continue with your show. You don't have to change your booking. You don't have to change anything else. Just change the overall presentation from the colors. Remove the colors, get new title belts, and I think that would be a massive thing for NXT. Excuse me. After the Creed brothers beat Grizzled Young Vets, by the way, they, excuse me. So they have a quick little match. Creed brothers win or whatever. Grizzled Young Vets need to go to the main roster as well. They do at some point. Them and MSK for sure. We get to a video package that goes up on the screen. Who attacked the Creed brothers? Now, by looking at this video, you don't know who they are. It's very Shield/Retribution type video. They're vandalizing the dojo. We don't know who it's going to be. Obviously, at Stand and Deliver, we're going to find out who it was. I think that's the plan. I think Stand and Deliver will find out who actually attacked the Creed brothers. Now, I have a very, very big feeling that whoever attacked the Creed brothers in NXT, it's probably either a babyface team that is turning heel, or it's going to be a new emerging tag team that is completely brand new that would be making their debut. And if you're wondering why that would be the case, well, WWE has been doing the Next in Line program, and the Next in Line program, they're obviously bringing a lot of people, a lot of talent. I think this is a good opportunity to continue building that tag team division. So honestly, it's crazy. I'm kind of like wondering, okay, who the hell is actually joining? Who is joining NXT, or who is turning heel? Like, what is happening here? What is actually happening here? That's what I want to know, because I look at this as a really good opportunity for WWE to do something massive. MSK continues to get booed on a weekly basis, and that's because the Orlando crowd are just all dumbasses, in my opinion. From something I read, I don't even want to get into it. I just think I think they try to put themselves over sometimes, like all these wrestling fans at these shows. But they started booing MSK, and it's like, you were just popping for MSK, now you don't pop for MSK. They were starting to boo MSK. It might be a good opportunity if you don't plan on moving MSK to the main roster. It may not be a bad idea to have MSK completely reform their look, change their look, become these pricks, asshole heels, and really make the WWE universe in Orlando, make them hate you. Make them hate you so much. That's what I would do if I'm WWE. Or, one thing that we need to kind of keep in mind is Briggs and Jensen. I love what they're doing with them and Fallon Henley. Just something to kind of keep in mind, just something to keep in mind. I'm not going to talk about Elektra Lopez or Fallon Henley, by the way. I think they had a decent match. It is what it is. Elektra Lopez is obviously doing a good job with Legado del Fantasma. I'm excited to see what happens at Stand and Deliver with that group. That's another group I think at some point needs to head to SmackDown. There's a lot of people on the NXT roster right now who need to get moved up. And I'm scared about that. I won't even lie. WWE's track record with moving talent from NXT to the main roster, that's actually what scares me a lot about NXT, because right now I'm enjoying NXT, and I enjoy the way they're positioning these people. I don't know what the hell they're going to do about it, but I would move Legado del Fantasma to the main roster with Elektra Lopez. I think that's the right move. I would have Briggs and Jensen go over them. I mean, dude, there's so many people you can move up. Grizzled Young Vets and Pure. Look, literally, there's a list of people you can call up to the main roster. It probably shouldn't happen right away, but it just goes to show you how good the NXT roster actually is, despite a lot of them being relatively new. Let's see. What else do we have? Yeah, so who attacked the Creed brothers? I still don't know. It's one of the reasons why I'm actually interested in watching NXT on a weekly basis, because, again, it's a simple story. It's going to be, obviously, a big reveal. I think it should be really cool. Guys, we have to talk about this. No joke. I got an idea here. Let's talk about this a little in depth. I don't want to rant about this, but I want to take a couple minutes to tell you guys why I love this. So, I'm watching NXT and I see Gunther and LA Knight. Honestly, if you told me a month ago, is this something I want to see? I would tell you no. I probably wouldn't see the chemistry there. And there is this stuff that is happening between Gunther and LA Knight that has given me so much intrigue in what they are doing. Now, let me explain. We get a match on NXT where it's Duke Hudson versus Gunther. Gunther slaps the living shit out of Duke Hudson. Like, this is not a joke. This is not like an exaggeration. Like, these chops are absolutely brutal. There was probably like 6 to 7 of them, maybe even a little bit more. But it got to the point where these chops were obviously a big topic of discussion. Anytime Gunther is chopping the shit out of people, people are posting the GIFs on Twitter. Obviously, people are excited about it. And it goes back to what I've said several times on this channel. WWE can change the name if they want. It doesn't really matter if they change the name, truth be told. Gunther is all skill. Very, very good talent. This match with him and Duke Hudson is great. Gunther's name change doesn't really matter. Walter Gunther, you can literally just call him the GOAT at this point. Nonetheless, Gunther defeats Duke Hudson. Really cool back and forth. Fun match. Probably something I didn't expect anything out of. And it ended up setting up this opportunity where we get LA Knight confronting Gunther. Gunther continues to tell LA Knight the only reason why he gets matches or gets any sort of fame or anything is because he's good at talking, and that's it. In fact, Gunther literally hates sports entertainment. He says that LA Knight is a disgrace to the sport. LA Knight earlier in the night said, you are the first word. It was like something about sports entertainment. He's like, you are a sport. He's like, I am both. I'm the whole package, basically. And I think that right there earlier in the night definitely made this segment even better, because after Duke Hudson versus Walter, you have Gunther. I said Walter, but you have Gunther and Eli Drake. You have LA Knight and Gunther going back and forth on the mic. So we get this cool match. Then we see them going back and forth on the mic. And honestly, LA Knight is just fantastic on the mic. But Gunther, man, he's carrying his own. He's telling them how much he hates sports entertainment. When I watch this segment with Gunther telling the WWE universe how much he hates sports entertainment and how much LA Knight has disrespected the sport, it gets me thinking that WWE is playing into the crowd and the internet wrestling community, right? Now, LA Knight is the definition of a WWE superstar. Good in the ring, but he has the charisma and the mic skills to carry a feud. And we've seen this before. We knew this. We've seen him as Eli Drake in TNA and Impact. And we know that LA Knight has a lot of potential. And it's funny because when LA Knight was on the black and gold brand, I feel like he didn't really fit in. Then NXT 2.0 becomes this thing, and it's all about sports entertainment. And LA Knight saying that he is both. He is a sport and he is entertainment. He is the whole package. He is the real deal. I don't feel like he's lying. I think it's really easy to convince the audience that it's true. But Gunther, for showing, Gunther is this wrestler who really shouldn't be, when you look at what WWE is, he's not this character that WWE would typically sign, right? When I talk about, like, Gunther made his name known as Walter on the indies for being a good wrestler. That's it. Now Gunther is getting on the mic and he's disrespecting LA Knight, basically telling him he's disrespecting the sport. He's not good for the sport. Gunther goes on to say that like he basically hates the sports entertainment shit. Like, literally, he's knocking WWE, which is so awesome here. Gunther definitely hates sports entertainment, and he's making it known he hates sports entertainment. And LA Knight was a little bit offended by that. And by getting offended, he goes and attacks him. Imperium immediately gets involved. But this is where the crowd really pops, because then you have MSK come out, and this is where the crowd definitely starts booing MSK. And it's just like they pop, then they get upset. They're like 50-50. They're torn on this guy. I don't know what it is. And by the end of it, this is a typical sports entertainment WWE style segment. Which, by the way, we're talking about this segment that happened after a really good match. So Gunther hates sports entertainment. I'm not necessarily sure why, but it is the truth, unfortunately. He hates sports entertainment. And I'm reading the chat. Nate says he hates Chris Jericho, LOL, because Chris Jericho is a sports entertainer. Yeah, let's talk about that. We'll probably talk about that tomorrow. But yeah, honestly, Gunther and LA Knight was just fantastic stuff. I was actually really impressed with that. And I give them their props. Like, I'm really, again, if you asked me a month or two ago how I would feel about this feud, I'd probably tell you, like, what? Like, it doesn't make sense. But this is phenomenal stuff. They did confirm they will have a wrestling match at Stand and Deliver. I really don't know the direction that they go. I feel like both guys are primed for the main roster at this point. Maybe LA Knight loses and then he goes to SmackDown. I really, really don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how Stand and Deliver goes. I'm really curious to see how they are, especially in a bigger arena, because this will be the first time that they're also not competing in the Performance Center, which is something to keep in mind. Just overall really, really cool segment. And then we do get the Dusty Classic, Io Shirai and Kaylee Ray versus Dakota Kai and Dakota Kai and Wendy Chu, by the way, like, they're really talented, but both of these teams really aren't tag teams, if that makes sense. And this is where I will actually criticize WWE a little bit, and it's not a bad thing, right? But if you look at this match, it's a good match, back and forth, a lot of cool different spots that are happening. You really don't know who's going to win. Now, keep in mind, last year for the Dusty Cup, Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai won. So now this is a situation where maybe Dakota Kai can win back-to-back. WWE makes the decision here to have Io Shirai and Kaylee Ray win, which is cool. And it becomes a really big segment for the post-match thing, right? Because now we get Toxic Attraction. Hold on, give me a second. We did get a new member. Oh, okay. Larry, my boy Larry, just renewed his membership. 7 months. What a good guy. He says Gunther has his chops, hella chops. Oh my God, yes he does. Those chops that he does, by the way, are incredible. Thank you again, Larry, by the way. I appreciate your support, brother. So yeah, we get to this whole thing where we get Kaylee Ray and Io Shirai versus, Wendy Chu and Dakota Kai, and I see this match, and it's like two tag teams that aren't actually tag teams, which it kind of defeats the purpose, by the way, of a Dusty Cup Classic tournament, because basically Kaylee Ray and Io Shirai have announced that instead of challenging for the tag team belts, they are going to make it a 4-way match at Stand and Deliver. And I'm not really sure as to why they made this decision, because the rules of the Dusty Cup Classic is to challenge for the tag team belts. And they're basically saying, well, no, that's not what we're doing. We're going to compete for the women's championship belt. It's a fatal 4-way. Now, I feel like the reason why WWE made this decision, and I could be wrong here, But if they do have plans for Cora Jade to walk out of Stand and Deliver as the NXT Women's Champion, then this allows her to do it without Mandy Rose necessarily taking a pin, which technically can set up an extended feud afterward. But we don't really know what the plans are for Mandy Rose. Now, I don't know. Does WWE have plans to maybe retire the NXT Women Tag Team Championship belts? Is that an opportunity here? Because Stand and Deliver is next Saturday. So if you're watching this live right now, it is March 22nd. So we'll have one more episode of NXT. You just spent a month or so promoting this freaking tag tournament, and the winners have decided, instead of going for the tag team championship belts, they're just going to make it a fatal four-way. That's not really how the rules work. I don't know why WWE decided to make that decision, and I'm not going to be mad about it because I could see the logic behind why they did it. There is logic, right? It's just kind of not logical for WWE. Like, I don't know. I feel like WWE could have maybe explained that prior to it happening. I'm not necessarily sure. I just find that to be the situation. Like had you promoted in the past, like, hey, by the way, like, the winner of this match can possibly challenge for the world title, or they can possibly challenge for this title, that title. Like, I don't know. There was just no explanation here. WWE doesn't give a rat's ass about tag team wrestling in the women's divisions, whether it's on the main roster or NXT. That's just the truth. And that's one of my biggest complaints about WWE. And that's why I said, like, tonight's show was not bad. It definitely wasn't bad. It just didn't feel like there was anything like, oh my God, I can't miss this, you know? But overall, WWE has done a really good job with NXT. And it kind of leads me to the final thing I want to talk about, which is really important because I do want to talk about this. I want to talk about why WWE has something really special with NXT. But I want to talk about how WWE can improve NXT, because I watch AEW and Raw and SmackDown and all of these different wrestling companies, and I think the biggest thing that NXT has is the best of everything. They have good wrestling matches. They have some good storylines. They are very similar to WWE's main roster, but they don't do 50-50 booking all the time. You don't see a lot of DQs. You don't see a lot of non-finishes. That is something that makes NXT a little bit more enjoyable for me than the main roster. Now, the thing is, people in the internet wrestling community, you know, they go on Twitter, they go on YouTube, and it's easy for them to hate on NXT, and I get it. You know, the aggressive change from black and gold to a whole bunch of colors looking like Nickelodeon, it was definitely aggressive. But I'm learning through time and time, WWE NXT is a very consistent product. And, you know, it's March 22nd, 2022, and I'm looking at this product, and I think, you know, there is a couple things they need to do to improve, and we're going to talk about those. But for the most part, NXT is actually pretty damn good. So what can WWE do to improve NXT? Well, I think the first things first, you got to really establish your women's tag team division. Your women's tag team division exists, but to have the Dusty Cup literally go on the span of over a few weeks on television, and then to have the winners decide, hey, we don't really want the tag team championship belts. Let's make the women's championship at Stand and Deliver a fatal four-way. Something seems wrong about that. So if WWE's in a situation, right, we know that they retired their Cruiserweight Championship. If they're in a situation where they want to improve this product, you got to be consistent from top to bottom. And I think right now when I watch NXT 2.0, I think 90% of the show is actually pretty damn good, but there's 10% of the show where it's like, okay, skip. Okay, I don't care about that. All right, this I'm not interested in. And the NXT Women's Tag Team Championship belt division, that division to me is pretty much like non-existent. And that's not a bad thing for WWE. I just think you need to immediately make it clear, like, hey, we're done with this. We're moving on. And the way you could do that, by the way, it's actually pretty simple. You can have Toxic Attraction win and then vacate the belt so they can move to the main roster. And then this way you can just forget about those belts ever existed. Number two, another way for WWE to improve NXT, just a fresh remodel. You know, the arena is cool. The performance center, it all looks good. The colors are a little too much. Just get away from the 2.0. Get away from the colors. You don't need the colors. You don't need the 2.0 in the name, right? You have good wrestling. You have characters. Just kind of, you know, at this point, people know it's a new version of NXT. You don't need to be reminding it every single week. NXT 2.0, NXT 2.0, NXT 2.0. You don't need all the crazy colors. That's another way. I think that's really important for WWE to just, hey, whether it's black and gold, whether it's blue and purple, whether it's white and black, you can have themes for your episodes. The logo is fine. The funny thing is the NXT logo is not even bad. Just take out the 2.0, take out the 100 different colors that are on it, take out the splatter, and everything else is cool. The theme music to NXT has been phenomenal. The shows have been really good. But let's do another makeover without being too aggressive with the change. Another thing that WWE has to do to improve NXT, it's pretty simple actually. Your main event scene. You need to establish who is going to be a main eventer on your product. And what I mean by this is, right now I'm looking at Braun Breaker versus Dolph Ziggler, and that is phenomenal. We know Tommaso Ciampa is likely on his way to the main roster. But other than that, who is sitting at the top of the card? There isn't anybody. Now, I look at a couple different names in NXT who are being groomed for that top spot. Carmelo Hayes clearly is going to be a world champion, not only in NXT, but he'll probably be a world champion on the main roster. How AEW did not sign Christian Casanova, to me, is mind-boggling, but he fell into the lap of WWE. This guy is a future star. Tony D'Angelo, another name, a potentially big future star for NXT, could very well move into that top spot. You have Von Wagner, who is now being managed by Robert Stone. Again, another name that can have that opportunity. Harland, right? Harland is somebody who is very inexperienced, but so far what WWE has done with him, it's been actually pretty impressive. The hype beast turned into a dark character. He's with Joe Gacy. Not everybody likes it, but he's a heel. You're not supposed to like it. You're not supposed to accept it. I look at some of these names and I think, wow, these guys can all pretty much become a world champion in NXT. Not to mention we saw Akid, we saw Grayson Waller have a fantastic match. And again, there's just a lot of people on this roster that are super talented. But you need to establish who is going to be at the top of the card. And I feel like they haven't necessarily done that. So I think WWE NXT they need to start establishing, okay, who are going to be the guys surrounding the World Championship series, the scene over there for the World Championship. Right now we know Braun Breaker is that guy, but who else is it going to be joining him? And I think that's something that WWE needs to do. And I think as they start to move people on top of the card on a consistent basis, I think it's very clear that people will continue to tune in, because at some point you're going to want to see Carmelo Hayes. You might want to see Tony D'Angelo. You might want to see Grayson Waller, Cameron Grimes, whoever it may be. There's obviously a lot of names to choose from, but you got to start, you've been booking them well, thankfully, but you're not positioning them at the top of the card. With that being said, I think really the final thing that WWE NXT needs to do, we talked about that makeover. I think these championship belts need to get a makeover as well. And I think NXT also, I think what needs to happen, and this is a very, very aggressive change for NXT, but I think NXT needs to turn TV 14, because NXT, in a weird way, that they are definitely a little bit less. They have, it appears that they have a little bit more freedom to say certain things on television or do certain things on television that you might not see on Raw or SmackDown. And I think that's actually one of the things that intrigues me about NXT. Sometimes the comedy is cringe, but sometimes they got some cool stuff, right? You look at what they do with Andre Chase, who is literally bitching at people on a week-to-week basis. Now he's doing it with Bodie Hayward. Like, this is the type of thing that makes NXT cool to me, is like, it's different because we don't expect this from WWE. They need to go TV 14. It doesn't have to be blood. It doesn't have to be Attitude Era. But I think TV 14 would just be a little bit of a welcome change, because being PG, you can tell that WWE NXT has changed a little bit in this regard, but they are still capped because of that TV rating. So I think if you take that off, they're now unhinged, and that would be a really good thing. I also do want to mention, and it goes back to the championship belts thing, when you look at NXT and you think of this possible idea of giving them a makeover, again, new logo, less colors, whatever it may be, if you bring on new championship belts and maybe limit the amount of championship belts too, I think you're now in a situation where people will, I think people will want to watch NXT more often. New championship belts. It just shows that it's not the same brand. You know what I mean? And another thing too, I would not be opposed to this idea the idea of maybe WWE NXT having a mid-card championship belt for the women. You know, AEW has managed to do something really special with Jade Cargill holding the TBS championship. I think there could be an opportunity for WWE having one for NXT. Drop the women tag team belts. Clearly, you don't need it. Maybe come out with a North American Women's Championship or something. I don't know. But it could be a good idea for WWE. All in all, though, I really did enjoy NXT. I would say 4 out of 5. There's not too much bad to say about it. Again, just certain things aren't logical at times. And that was really the Dusty Cup Classic finish thing. But other than that, I really did enjoy it. What did you guys think? Did you guys enjoy NXT tonight? Let me know what you guys think in the chat. If anybody wants to get in any last minute super chats, go ahead and send those through. We're just coming up a little bit over an hour. Very interesting night. I won't lie. I am a little bit tired, so maybe I'm not as energetic. Honestly, I've just been going to bed very late lately. Just been working a lot on this channel. A lot of things coming up. We do have the live stream tomorrow as well for AEW Dynamite. So just keep that in mind. We'll go live for AEW Dynamite. We'll break down all the matches, a lot of questions, all that good stuff. It should be a very good episode of AEW Dynamite. Yeah, I'm very excited. Get those super chats in if you guys want to. If not, no big deal. I'll just give you guys some time. I just always feel bad when you guys send super chats at the end and then I can't like literally talk about it. Like, I don't want the show to go off the air and I don't have the chance to read your super chat, if that makes sense. But other than that, yeah, pretty exciting stuff. Not the greatest episode, not the worst episode. It was just a good episode. Dynamite should be fun. I'm pretty impressed with NXT though, that's for sure. I'm impressed that NXT is like, they're still offering good wrestling matches, yet they still have good stories, you know? So. All right. All right, y'all. Well, it appears to me that it is now the time to conclude the show. Real Take Sports. Shout out to you, Larry Loggins. Great job on the analysis for people who don't really understand wrestling. Hey, you know, sometimes it's going to be hit or miss. I do apologize. Sometimes I feel like yesterday my energy was like crazy. I was like boom, 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 boom. Today I'm a little bit tired, but I will make sure my energy's at the top for tomorrow's episode of AEW Dynamite. Also, I do have an announcement for this channel. I probably shouldn't announce it, but we have another show coming to the channel, and it's probably going to be on Thursday nights. But you didn't hear that from me. So when you guys get, when I get the time to make that announcement, I'll let you guys all know. But there might be happening soon, so just keep that in mind. I don't know why I'm trying to be all cryptic and shit. But nonetheless, yeah, thank you guys for stopping by. I appreciate you all. And I will see you guys next time. Thank you again for watching. Have a wonderful night. And I'll see you guys soon.